Hi everyone, my name's James Ivey.
Hi Paul Drew.
From the Studio Rats.
Ah, yes. Why the hell are you here?
Nice to be back.
Yes.
So, our friends at Boss have reached out to us and we were talking about being gig ready and, you know, our favourite amps, in our case, often are quite small amps. Studio, some would call them lunchbox size amps, that sort of thing.
Okay, well, let's give some examples of that. So the TWS 2864 amplifier is a 14 watt amp, and the new acquisition which you just got is the AMS Twister 5, which is a 5 watt all valve amp.
My GAV 19T is a 19 watt amp, even though it's the loudest 19 watts in history.
It's a beastie.
But we often talk about headroom with amps and all that sort of stuff, and it's about clean headroom before breakup.
Yeah.
And while the AMS is a beautiful amp, it's not got that headroom before it breaks up.
Well, it's 5 watts.
Exactly.
So what can we do to expand a 5 watt or a small low powered amp? So it's, I mean, that is gig ready, but it'd have to be a very quiet drummer. So how would you incorporate that amp into a full band situation?
So by quiet drummer, he means not me.
Definitely not you. Definitely not you.
So it just so happens that Boss now make the tube amp expander core, not the full beans, heavyweight rack unit version. This is the, I'd say slimmed down, but it's still got a 30 watt power amp in it.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I've done some other videos explaining all the other features of the tube amp expander core, and that's plugging the line out of the tube amp expander core into an interface or into a PA. So you get all the stereo effects, all the different cab modeling that this incorporates. But what we're doing today is we've plugged the guitar amp straight into the core, and then the core out, or the power amp out of the core into a speaker. So there's no line out recording here. So what we're going to be demonstrating today is all the extra features that you get with the tube amp expander core and all the little clever things you can do with it. Because, the AMS Twister 5 hasn't got an effects loop. So how are we going to incorporate extra effects, modulation, delays, reverbs, that sort of stuff? The tube amp expander has got an effects loop. So we can use the tube amp expander to expand the amplifier by incorporating an effects loop.
Very cool.
One of the things that the tube amp expander does that I don't think any other load box does is the effects inside the tube amp expander you can send to your guitar cab.
Because my load box, call it that, of choice, does not do that. It sends them to the stereo outputs, the balanced outputs, but it doesn't send them on into the cab, which is a limiting factor.
So say you've got like an AC30, AC15 that hasn't got reverb, you can incorporate the reverb inside the tube amp expander and put that out through your
guitar cab,
which makes a massive difference to me, because I can't play with that reverb because I'm not good enough.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Now, there's one other really cool thing that you can do. It is an optional add-on, to be fair, but we've added the Boss FS1 WL, thanks for the really memory-friendly naming convention, which is a Bluetooth-enabled wireless foot controller to the optional Bluetooth receiver on the back of the tube amp expander core.
So there's no wire attaching the Boss FS1 WL to to the tube amp expander core, this is completely wireless.
The only cable is the one between the volume controller, continuous controller, and the foot switch, because obviously those two need to talk to each other.
Absolutely. Right, okay, so let's do some demonstrating what this is.
So first foot switch we've rigged up is for the effects loop, and we have a Walrus Audio
Monumental.
That's the one.
Which is a fantastic sounding tremolo.
Yeah, so that is...
Oh, hold on, let's play it clean first.
And with... I normally don't like a tremolo wobbling quite that fast or that hard, but that sounds great. We also have a delay, and this is the delay from the tube amp expander core's effects section.
So all of this is being recorded through the microphone on the front of the cab. Clean first.
And we also have the reverb coming from the tube amp expander core as well.
So these are the same sort of high quality effects that you'd get in something like the Boss GT1000, their flagship processor. I don't know if it's exactly the same algorithm, but same sort of quality of effect. Really high quality reverb and delay, and there's also a compressor built in, which we're not using.
But the other cool thing, of course, is we've got a controller here, volume controller, foot controller, expression controller even, and we've got it set up as a master volume. Now, the cool thing about the Boss stuff is you can set a range. So you haven't got to be super accurate with your foot, because in a gig situation, you're just not.
Yeah, so the way that I would always set this up is my rhythm level and my lead level. So my rhythm level, and then lead level. So let's hear it with a bit of drive on it.
So the cool thing about the way we have it set up with the tube amp expander core is that you can now have all your drive and kind of preamp effects in front of the amp and not have to worry about...
Well, muddying up.
Yeah, muddying up is exactly the phrase, isn't it? Muddying up your reverbs. You can actually use some of the amp tone to get your tone, if you like, you know, your drive and distortion effects.
That's right, and then your time-based effects in the effects loop, which is then obviously going to keep things cleaner.
Which is exactly how you'd want it.
So just to reiterate what we're talking about, we've got a 5-watt amp plugged into the Boss tube amp expander core, which now makes that a giggable 30-watt amp.
Yeah.
We've got an effects loop, which we can now incorporate effects, which you can't do with that amplifier.
Yeah.
And we've also got a way of controlling the effects inside the Boss tube amp expander.
And the effects loop.
And the effects loop.
Which is cool. I mean, we've only got one pedal in the loop. It could be many.
So an absolutely awesome gig-ready setup.
And a great addition to any rig. It's worth saying that the tube amp expander core is also your load box stroke attenuator, because that way, if you've got a 100-watt monster that you're using with it, that, you know, there are 100-watt amps out there that don't have loops that you want to bring down.
That's very true. Yeah, so now in today's gigging environment, we can't really use 100-watt amplifiers. So you could plug a 100-watt amplifier into this and bring the volume down of the 100-watt amp, but also drive that amp at its optimum level, which you couldn't do.
And as we all know, you know, something like a Marshall, they want to be driven hard to get that Marshall tone.
Absolutely.
You don't get a Marshall tone out of a Marshall at bedroom volume. Sorry, you just don't.
Absolutely. So we'll leave all the details for the Boss tube amp expander core in the notes below. Really hope you guys got something out of this video. If you did get something out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Click on the bell button and you'll be notified of any future video that comes out from the Studio Rats. I'm Paul.
I'm James.
And we'll see you next time.